Good morning, good afternoon, and good night, and welcome back to the Amateur Otaku Podcast Halloween special. As you guys know, it's a double feature. We just spent in the last hour, we were talking about Vampire Hunter D, and we had a great time talking about it. But now, me and my good friend, Mr. Isaac Wolf. What's up, man?
Okay.
Okay. That's the. I appreciate the high level enthusiasm that you bring to the show. I mean, it's the energy is so powerful.
Yeah.
So now, just like we talked about Vampire Hunter D on the last hour, last section, last episode, now we're going to talk about Tokyo Ghoul, which is this other selection that we had for this Halloween special. We're really excited to talk about the show. As you guys know, Vampire Hunter D was Isaac's pick for this Halloween special. My pick was Tokyo Ghoul, which is a show that is very near and dear to my heart. So now I'm really excited to talk about this. But for you guys,
when are you not excited?
Now, that is true. I'm a very excitable person. And for all of you guys at home that are joining, you're never gonna stop talking lies. So for you guys that are joining us just now,
I mean, the Crown Sword Art Online as your favorite anime.
It's one of. Isaac, can I get through the introduction?
I mean, the movie, The Crown. Yeah, go on.
Okay. So, you sure you're done? You're good?
Yeah, if you are.
I don't know if I am now. Okay, so for you guys, this is the Amateur Otaku. This is Matt Isaac. So for you guys that are joining us now, thank you for joining us at the Amateur Otaku. Make sure to like this video. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And of course, make sure to hit the bell. Click on the bell for notifications so that you don't miss any episode of the Amateur Otaku. You don't miss any live stream. You don't miss any announcements and stuff like that, so you guys can stay in touch with us in the channel. The Amateur Otaku is available in your favorite podcasting service. It's available on Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Radio Public, which I've never heard of, and is available in Anchor as well, and wherever podcasts are streamed. So make sure you join the community and talk anime with us. So, Isaac, we spent a good time talking about Vampire Hunter D and how we love that show. That was your pick. This is my pick. But before we jump into Tokyo Ghoul, right, and I read a synopsis like I always do, when did you first learn of this show?
Honestly, I can't remember.
Did you encounter the manga first, or was it the anime the first time?
I have not read the manga. I have not read the manga.
Okay, so you only know the show.
Yep.
Okay. So I remember that I was in a music rehearsal at a church that I used to go to, and one of the pastor's kids, his son and his grandkids all live in Japan. So they were visiting the States. And apparently he loves anime. We started talking. And then he talks about how his mom's favorite anime is Tokyo Ghoul. And I'm like, what is this Tokyo Ghoul thing? and they were raving about it. Like the whole family was talking about how this anime is so cool, because that's one of the things that I love about anime. Everybody watches it over there in Japan. Like here in the States and probably also in Europe, it's like this niche thing that only a certain group of people watch, even though it's becoming more mainstream now, which I'm really excited for. But there in Japan, everybody watches anime. Everybody watches what they like. So when they mentioned that, I looked into it, I saw it, and I fell in love with the music. I fell in love with the animation, fell in love with the story, and I really enjoyed Tokyo Ghoul. It's one of my favorite shows of all time. I know that a lot of people love this show. I recently met one of my neighbors. It's funny. So I have this neighbor, right, that she was heading to a Halloween party, and she was cosplaying as Sango from Inuyasha. And I know you love that show. But but I streamed Sango, so we met, we exchanged numbers and whatever, and then she mentioned how she just finished rewatching the Tokyo Ghoul again, because this is a show that is so ripe for you to watch it once over and over again, because there's a lot of cool stuff and exploration of themes of identity. There's a lot of horror elements, and I think it's a very smart story and use of the material. So, Isaac, I'm ready to talk some Tokyo Ghoul. Are you ready?
I'm not. I'm not pale. If that's what you're saying.
You're not. You're not what?
Pale.
Why would you be pale? Oh, wait. Why would you be pale?
Gold, white, all that, yes.
Oh, you mean you're not dead? You're not a vampire? Isaac, you're confusing me. Why do you insist in making me look like a confused buffoon in front of people? Not saying that's not true anyway. Because I can do it myself, okay? I'm glad how I find it hilarious how you don't deny that that's what you're doing. That's you are horrible, my friend. You are horrible.
I know.
Okay, so let's start this topic on top of Tokyo Ghoul, this conversation. And so, well, that's a big banner. That's way bigger than I thought. Okay, I'm gonna make this look nice, Isaac, because this is what we do on air. We make things look nice because I don't know how to write. This is live. I made one. It's funny. I made one of these things for Vampire Hunter D, and I never activated it. There it is. Woohoo! Tokyo Ghoul. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna read. It's the little things in life, Isaac. So I'm gonna read a quick synopsis of Tokyo Ghoul, and then we're gonna jump into the conversation. If you guys have any comments, any thoughts on this show, that you guys want to share with us, feel free to write it in the comments. We will put the comments on screen, and it will probably help us drive an awesome conversation on this awesome show. If there's a horror show, anything that you love that you've seen that you want to recommend us, recommend it to us. We'll probably see it in the future and cover it on the show too. Or if we've seen it, we'll comment on it. If you have any questions for us about anime that you're watching or animes that you want to watch, send them through. We will address them as they come through in the comments section. We definitely want to hear from you. That's why we do these live streams. So here it goes. Here is a quick synopsis of Tokyo Ghoul. Ken Kaneki is a young boy that loves reading books and wanders through life aimless, accompanied by his friend Hide. When the truths of the world come crashing onto him, when his date Rize ends up being a ghoul, which is a humanoid creature that subsists on human flesh, an accident saves him, but leaves him in a near-death state. As the only means for saving him, Rize's organs are used to save Kaneki from death, and the results are life-altering, to say the least. now a human ghoul hybrid, and unable to hide from the violence that occurs in the shadows. Kaneki attempts to find a home between the monsters that surround him and peace with the monster that now lives within. This is Tokyo Ghoul, created by Sui Ishida and produced by Studio Pierrot. I think Pierrot's going to be another studio that we're going to talk about a lot because we recently talked about Studio Pierrot when we talked about Bleach. They also did Tokyo Ghoul. They also did Tokyo Ghoul. They've done so many cool shows. But yes, that's Tokyo Ghoul. The story of Ken Kaneki. There's so much stuff in this show that occurs. And it's only 12 episodes. I mean, guys, we're going to focus on talking mostly about season 1. I think it's safe to say, Isaac, because I think Tokyo Ghoul is a lot more known and popular than Vampire Hunter D. I think spoiler alert, everybody. We are going to talk some spoilers. We're really going to try to stay away from key plot details for twists or developments that occur, but they will be spoilers. For example, in the synopsis, I had to talk about him becoming a half human, half ghoul hybrid because that's technically the kicker of the show. That's like the hook of the show. So there's no way for me to give you a synopsis without revealing that. So, Isaac, let's start with you. So why do you like this show? If you like it, why do you like it?
I have a dislike relationship with this show, honestly.
Okay.
Because I like it. Because I like the execution. I like the idea of the whole philosophy of self-identity. What's meant to be human? What's all that jazz? And I think they are doing it in terms of story phenomenally. But then there is the dialogue, and the dialogue at times is prequel George Lucas bad.
Oh wow, that's striking, to say the least.
Yeah, it's so I can't say I dislike it, but because I see what you're doing and I like the general idea, but it's sometimes it just with the dialogue.
Yeah, I could understand that. So in other words, you love the world, you love the animation, you love the characters.
I wouldn't say love, but I like.
And okay, I'm sorry. Love is a very strong word for you. You don't love a lot of things, don't you? Or is it that I love too many? Which one is it?
Latter.
Why am I always well? It's probably true. If I'm questioning why I'm the problem, it's probably because I am the problem, and that
exactly.
So yeah. The idea of identity, the idea of trying to find your place in the world, the idea of wanting to know what it is, understanding your process, what you're going through. I think it's one of the better coming of age stories the better coming of age structure that you can use. And I like how it's used in this show. I like how they use this particular creature or this particular monster. Like, I wasn't really familiar with what a ghoul is. I like how it's stylized in this world because, like, a lot of times, like, if you've seen Hellsing, they call zombies ghouls, which are people that have been killed by vampires and are controlled as zombies. Here, they are their own race. They're independent to any other monsters. There are no other monsters in this world that I know of. But I like how they're not treated as a monster, but they're treated more as a race or a community of people. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because it creates the space to have conversations about race, conversations about community, conversations about acceptance, conversations about appreciating the differences between people, and I like that it's all explored through the eyes of the ghouls, especially this particular group of ghouls, because yes, we do find out very quickly what a ghoul is. It is a monster that eats people, that they depend on human flesh, but most people just revel in it. But then when you meet people through Kaneki, because Kaneki, as soon as he becomes this half-whole hybrid, that he learns that the hunger that a ghoul feels is deadly and can drive you mad. But because he has a human side, he doesn't want to feed. But then you find out that you have these ghouls that have found a way to value life, but still feed. Because not that they go hungry, they still feed, but they found a way to balance it out without creating animosity with humans. And I like how you have all these different groups where you have the ghouls that want to live. It's like X-Men. Like you have the mutants
That's a
that
good
want
analogy.
yeah, like you have the group like Anteku, like that cafe is like the like the Xavier School of Gifted Youngsters, like and they have an old guy as the leader, even though he can actually walk. Um, that was me. I'm sorry. he tries to teach them.
You didn't
Huh?
run along. You didn't run along with that pun.
Oh boy. So he tries to find a way to broker peace between ghouls and humans, at least the ghouls that are with him. Um, he finds food for them, and the way he does it, it's amazing and very interesting. And then you have the ghouls that are they live their full life as ghouls, and they feed on people and kill people all the time just to survive. But they still live among humans. And then you have the hunters among humans, which are technically a kind of police force that exists that everybody knows about. But they kill these ghouls, and they do it in a way that's like hidden from the public. So like the whole war between ghouls and humans happens in the shadows, and nobody knows about it unless something big explodes. You know what I mean? Like towards the end of the first season, that they have this big encounter in the mall where Jason is doing whatever he's doing to Kaneki, right? But I like how you have this kid that lived in a book, that lived in his own world. Because when you suffer from loneliness, or because you're alone, period, and you don't really have, and you don't live within community because you are used to live within the worlds that you find in a book, or isolated or disconnected. I like how his transformation opens him up to what's really happening in the world. You know what I mean? I always like that kind of story because we're discovering the truth of this world with him as opposed to just being thrown into it. You know?
Yeah.
I love stories like that, and I think this show does it brilliantly. Does it brilliantly because even though you have all these different factions, a la X-Men, you don't. It's not about the group; it's about the individual coming into contact with all these people and all these groups. It's kind of like he's Wolverine, and he's just coming in contact with the different groups of mutants, and they all react differently. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
I'm all full of analogies today. Um, do you
Just get
do you,
the meat with it.
now
Yeah.
with identity? Identity is a big topic in this show because it's not only about him having to understand who he is now as a half ghoul human hybrid. It's about him accepting who he is and how important that is in the role that he needs to play. I like how he's always like in the middle and he never necessarily picks a side. It's not till the very end that he does. But I like how even though it's an anime, like as an anime, it takes consequences very seriously. It takes decisions that characters make very seriously, and it makes it very clear where the stakes are, especially towards the end. Like that whole thing where he finds that he needs to make a decision because other people's lives depend on it, and you quickly see the result of what that is. You know what I mean? Like this show doesn't just it doesn't kind of tease you about the fact, oh, there may be danger here. No, 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 no. There's danger. And if you make bad decisions, you're going to see that bad decision come to bite you in the ass. It's not as abrupt as Attack on Titan. Like Attack on Titan, all this is like in your face. Like Attack on Titan is like watching The Walking Dead. When you turn it on, you know someone's going to die. You know what I mean?
That's an understatement.
Right. Especially those first two seasons. Like, you know someone's gonna die because the name of the show is Attack on Titan, which means somebody has to die by a Titan. Like, it's just gonna happen. Tokyo Ghoul is not like that. Like Tokyo Ghoul, yes, there's danger. Yes, there's a lot of deaths. Yes, there's a lot of characters that are borderline dead throughout the show in different moments, different areas. But it's all about kind of similar to the same thing of this. It's like the idea of fear of death, and being vulnerable to the dark forces, whether it's a evil ghoul or whether it's an evil human, or maybe beyond good and evil because they're just different sides. Because that's the other thing. The way this show blurs the lines between what's good and what's right, what's good and evil, is very interesting too, because you don't necessarily have to pick a side, because it makes the point of making each of the two sides, like anybody can pick a side and you couldn't blame the person for it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like everybody has a very clear motivation. Everybody has a very clear decision of why they're taking this side, that you can stand behind them. And like I was saying about fear, is that just like because you're discovering the world through Kaneki's eyes, you're also discovering the things that you need to fear in this world through Kaneki's eyes, which I think that's something that's very hard to do. Like, one thing is showing you something that's scary, but the other thing is you feeling the fear that the character feels in a specific moment or in a specific scene. Like that moment where they see XYZ character's parent die at the hands of the hunt of the doves, what they call the hunters. Like, that's a very, very emotional and frightening scene. You know what I mean? Like the way that scene plays out, it's terrifying and emotional. And I think that's what this show does very, very well. It creates powerful moments, and every powerful moment that they create, it's earned. Am I saying too? Is that too much to say about this? Or do you agree? Do you disagree?
No. I, like I said, actually, the exception of some of the dialogue, I actually like this show. Do I love it? No, because there's way more animes that I prefer, but that doesn't mean I think it's a bad show.
But do you agree that this show earns the moments that it does? Like, does it? Do you feel that the show pays off? Like the payoffs that you get
Yeah.
as a viewer are worth it. Yeah, like, and I think that's why this show is so popular, because it gives you an idea, and they double down on that exploration of that world, and it makes it feel organic, and it makes it feel the way one thing leads to another. Nothing comes out of nowhere. Everything feels organic, and you meet so many different characters, and you feel that you know them, even though you spend short periods of time with them. And to think that these are only 12 episodes. This is the first season of Tokyo Ghoul. It's only 12 episodes. Each episode is maybe 22, 24 minutes long, but they're also full of information that is easily translated to the animation, to the nuances of the characters, through clunky dialogue, if I'm going to say it. But it's all pretty well translated in a way that's satisfying. Yeah. Do you have a favorite moment of season 1 of Tokyo Ghoul?
I don't know, actually. I haven't thought about that, if I shall be honest.
Honestly,
I can't think of any.
Yeah, to me, I like. Even though it's fair to say that there's like I'm kind of cheating at this point, but I like the final episode, like the whole thing with Kaneki transforming into a different person, or assimilating a different identity, because he feels that who he is at the moment is not who he needs to be to get through what he's going through. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things that happens that like, it's an event that forces you to grow up, and you have to decide to be a different kind of person, because that's the only way you're going to make it to the other side. That whole episode, how they explore Jason's psychology and why Jason is the kind of torturer and evil person that he is, but how he was tortured, and the idea that these things happen. Like, every day we're confronted with moments, occasions, or situations where we have to make a decision on whether or not we're going to keep doing things the same way we've always done, or we force ourselves to do things a little differently. And that's why I like the show, because it presents moments that feel authentic, that feel real. Like, if we lived in a world where these situations were happening with Tokyo, with ghouls and humans, like the decision of Kaneki having to assume a different persona, subconsciously or consciously, whatever you see it, because that's the only way he's going to get through with it. To me, it's like a truth that's exposed, that I think is one of the best truths argued on the show. Like the other way you see it is with the character of Toka. Like, Toka was born a ghoul, right? But she has learned to accept humans, and and one of her best friends her entire life is a human. And they're so close that because she knows that her friend wants to be a cook, her friend brings her food and Toka eats it. But human food is sickening to ghouls. So you see her vomiting and putting herself through these nauseating and troublesome situations with her own body, because her body is rejecting human food. But she does it because she cares for her friend, and also because she's having this clash of identity. Like, for a fact that to a certain degree, if Toka could live her life without being a ghoul, she would. She would want to do that. But that's not necessarily what she does. But she doesn't. But she doesn't necessarily hide who she is either. To a degree, I don't know, man. Like those kind of character moments. I love shows when they treat their characters like real people, and I think that's the kind of thing that makes this show shine. Every character feels that if this were the real world, they would fit in. And I think that's why this show connects with so many people. I am going to say, as the seasons progress, it kind of loses a lot of that, which is why I've mentioned to Isaac that I wanted to be very deliberate about mostly talking about the first season. Is because I think it is, in and of itself, even if there was no more Tokyo Ghoul, the execution of the season was pretty much great. And the way they explore the ideas that are explored in the manga and in the live action movie does it very well. I mean, this show is great. It has a lot of horror elements. I mean, it's gory. Like you actually see like ghouls eat things and blood. There's blood everywhere. It's kind of crazy. Did you know that I bought the eye patch mask, Isaac?
Oh, I saw that. I
Yeah.
saw.
So the idea of masks is also very interesting. How because the cool thing about the ghouls is like they look like humans. They're humans, practically. They're humans. So the way you know that a ghoul is a ghoul is that whenever he is getting ready to use his ghoul abilities or strength, his eyes or his or her eyes turn this dark red. In the case of Kaneki, because he is a half ghoul hybrid, only one of his eyes turns dark red, turns ghoulish red. I like how the whole thing with the masks and how they're an extension of their identity. I mean, there's a lot of crazy stuff in this show. If I could talk about this forever, and I shouldn't, but I think I've talked enough. Now, Isaac, you know there's a live action version of this, right?
Yeah, I know that.
That never came out in theaters over in Sweden, right?
No, there's never a live action. The only live action anime movies that I've seen coming to Sweden is Alita Battle Angel and Edge of Tomorrow. That's about it.
And your favorite Dragon Ball Evolution?
Don't even speak about that one. I saw it day one.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I kind of find it kind of sad that the only ones that have come out over there are the ones that have been produced by American studios, which is kind of sad. And I would love.
Hey, two out of three aren't bad, at least.
No, yeah, that's true. But there's so much great stuff out there, and like right now, the fact that Funimation is an American-owned company, that's why a lot of people in your neck of the woods don't have access to like live-action Tokyo Ghoul movie. Like, I don't know if you know this, because Funimation licensed it. It's available on their streaming service. You can watch the Tokyo Ghoul movie. Yeah, I know. I know it's horrible. But I want to say this, and the only reason I bring this up is because the Tokyo Ghoul live action movie is actually pretty good. It's actually pretty good. And one of the best thing about it, Isaac, is that it doesn't try to fit in the whole season into one movie. They kind of like handpicked a selection. Like it goes from the beginning till the final fight with Mato, with the crazy old dude.
Okay.
It does that. It completely skips the whole thing with the gourmet ghoul. But now the sequel came out last year, and the sequel is all about the gourmet ghoul. So they're kind of like they pick very well the characters that they want to explore, the things they want to do. All the kagunes look great, and I know I haven't mentioned kagunes, but kagunes are like the Super Saiyan special abilities of ghouls. Depending on the ghoul, is a type of extension that they have. Kagune is like in the case of Kaneki, he has these tails that come out of. That's very Naruto, right? These tails that come out of
Yeah.
his back. In the case of Toka, she has this fiery wings that come out of her back. Some ghouls create armor for themselves. Like there's a lot of cool stuff in this show. And every ghoul has a different kind of Kagune and very unique to him, which is why it's so cool. But yeah, the Kagunes look great in the live action movie. And the acting is pretty solid. The acting is pretty solid. So if you guys have access, and I know I'm saying this and breaking your heart, Isaac, but I gotta say it. If you guys have access to Funimation now, I believe the entirety of the series of Tokyo Ghoul is on Funimation now, and also the live action movie is there too, and it's a great watch.
Let me just say this, people. As considering Funimation is essentially a US only studio, yes, I know it's on some others, another countries too, but it's a bit annoying that the biggest Western anime distributor has near monopoly, and pretty much everyone else has to wait or need to find somewhere else to see anything. For example, that latest My Hero Academia movie has yet to arrive here in Sweden, and who has license for Western license for that? Funimation.
Yeah, that is kind of messed up. It really is. But yeah, that's I mean, let me ask you, Isaac, because I know I've brought it up. Have you tried using a VPN? Because a VPN kind of like mirrors the fact it allows you to appear like you're in the US, because you can pick the kind of server that you want to use. I know I probably should have
tried
it. It doesn't work.
I have, and it doesn't work very well, at least.
Come on, Funimation, you have to at least allow us to be illegal, okay?
I wonder how illegal they are, considering considering most YouTubers are sponsored by VPN nowadays.
That is true. There's a lot of. I think we just broke the internet, Isaac, with all this VPN talk. But yes, guys, Tokyo Ghoul is amazing. If you love horror stories, YA horror stories, watch Tokyo Ghoul. If you love action, watch Tokyo Ghoul. If you want to watch a show with relatable characters and really interesting storytelling and conversations and topics, watch Tokyo Ghoul. It is an awesome anime, one of the best out there of its genre. And we are the Amateur Otaku. Give it a thumbs up and encourage you to watch it. Isaac, any other thoughts on this amazing show?
No, maybe we should do some plugs and do an announcement, maybe.
Maybe. So, guys, thank you for joining us at the Amateur Otaku Podcast for these 2 hours, almost 2 hours that we've talked about Halloween or Halloween topic, horror topic, anime. We had a great conversation about Vampire Hunter D. Now we had a great conversation on Tokyo Ghoul. But now we're going to start heading out. Isaac, where can we find? Okay, Isaac, plug yourself.
You can find my work at Woburn Entertainment, and you can find me on Twitter at the handle you see below my avatar.
which is at Emblemaniac. And you can find me at the Scarlet Fan 52 on Twitter, the Scarlet Fan 52 on Instagram, and you can find me on Facebook as Brandon Alvarado, because I am Brandon Alvarado and I am the Scarlet Fan. I am both people at the same time, because that's what I do. I am two people at the same time, and I should stop talking. So thank you for joining us at the Amateur Otaku Podcast. If you like what we do here, make sure you click like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you hit the bell for notifications so you do not miss any episodes of the Amateur Otaku Podcast or announcements. Our podcast library is ever growing. We just put on an episode on the Smile Down the Runway, and we also put an episode on The Girl Who Leapt Through Time. It's getting very good reception. We're going to put the episode on the Bleach manga very soon on our podcast channel. And then these episodes will also go on a podcast channel very soon if you prefer that format. If there's any if there are any animes that you guys want us to cover on the show, please give us some recommendations at Amateur Otaku Pod. That is at Amateur Otaku Pod on Twitter, or you can send us emails at amateurOtakuRTF@gmail.com. That is amateurOtakuRTF@gmail.com. Some quick announcements before we head out. We're going to cover Blood of Zeus, Netflix newest animation galore. It was made by some of the artists that worked with Castlevania, and a lot of our friends have been talking to us about it. So that's going to be the next thing we're going to cover. It's probably not going to be this next week, but it's going to be very soon. We're going to talk about Blood of Zeus. So if this is a show that you're excited about, that have seen or been wanting to see and want to hear a review, stay tuned. We'll let you know soon the date that we're going to do it. And we're going to try to nab an awesome guest host to join us. We're not going to say who, but we're trying to nab someone because we're nabbers today. And that was horrible. But yes, we're going to cover the Netflix animation property, Blood of Zeus. We're going to do that very, very, very soon. And I think it's safe to put out another announcement, Isaac. The Amateur Otaku, us here at the Amateur Otaku, we've been working alongside one of our good friends, Landon Bell, and we're working on bringing back an amazing website of entertainment called Wobat. And we're working on a podcast for that site. And it's going to be awesome. It's going to be different. And it's going to be about talking about all the things that we love. So stay tuned for more announcements about Wobat Entertainment and the new podcast that we're going to be putting out that Isaac and I were going to be a part of. So there's a lot of great stuff coming out, more content beyond the anime stuff that we do. But the Amateur Otaku is not going anywhere because we love talking anime with you guys. And we thank you for joining us. So guys, we will see you next time. Have it awesome. Peace.